Hey, we'd like to thank you today for tuning in to the Super Trucker Podcast. I'm Michael.
I'm Christian.
And we're going to talk to you today about having a business mindset and how that can help you be effective and overall help your business. Christian, I know you got some points that we want to talk about.
So when we talk about having a business mindset, this isn't just for existing owner-operators. It's also going to be for those who are transitioning from a company driver, whether it be they've been 5 years in the game, 20 years in the game, but transitioning from a company driver to an owner-operator.
Yeah, that can be a rough change sometimes because the way your business is ran for you as a company driver versus you being responsible for things that you weren't used to being responsible for and basically in charge of your own destiny there. And that's sometimes can be difficult, but it's definitely doable with the right partner.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So one of the bigger challenges sometimes is going to be when guys are transitioning, whether it be they were paid per mile, all miles, and transitioning to a percentage based, or actually the deadhead associated to the
compensated, not compensated. And so want to talk about some points today. Make sure you stay to the end because I think this is going to be some really valuable information, especially some of the ones towards the end. Relationships will make or break you in this business.
And I would definitely agree with that. So just remember, as any business out there, customer service is key. It's the fundamental of any business. And some of the internal, external customers, if you will, are going to be the dispatchers, the shippers, the receivers.
Your company as a whole.
Everybody
from safety, recruiting, everything that's involved with those relationships. And we know the difference between how a good, well-oiled relationship goes versus one that's not so a rocky one. And there's obviously a whole lot more success for everyone, the driver, the dispatcher, the company, the customers, the shippers, the receiver, when the relationships are smooth. So very, very important. You want to talk about a couple? I know we talk about relationship dispatchers. I mean, when we get down to it, that is the core relationship is the driver and the dispatcher. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I agree. So if we think about it, right, this is trucking. So things are going to happen. It's just going to be a matter of when and how bad, perhaps, right? So the things will happen. So now when there's a decision to be made, I would say it's a calculated risk, perhaps. Let's say a guy started his clock too early and heading out to the receiver. Now, the trickle effect, the reload, do we call that customer? Who's in contact with that customer? How do we handle a situation like that? The more information that is dispersed to your dispatcher, the more we know, preparation
planning,
and the better it's going to be, the end result.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that comes down, what kind of relationship do you have with your dispatcher? That's a question everybody watching this video right now should ask themselves. What is your relationship with your dispatcher? Is it one that you can count on? Is it solid? Is it open? Is the dialect between you and your dispatcher flowing, or is it just, hey, here's the load, thank you, goodbye? For instance, the situation where you have somebody who starts their clock first thing in the morning, after midnight, burns their hours before delivery. I can't do anything with a guy that doesn't allow me to help him. I need that information so that I can reach out to the receivers, the shippers, whoever it may be, and prepare for that type of thing.
Right, and so to even elaborate on that, when you harbor a situation, it's just making it worse. And this is both for the dispatcher and for the driver on both sides, right? Because even if we know if a dispatcher knows a load is canceled, that should be communicated right away, so we can take the appropriate necessary measures, whether we're pulling to the side, don't start the clock, or go to a sleeper berth, whatever the situation is, the best possible.
Well, hey man. 2 brains, 3 brains, 4 brains, no matter how smart you are, no matter how big your brain is. It's always better to involve more people in the decision, because if you have a good dispatch team, they're in the trenches with you. If you're in a situation where it's going to be difficult and you're not sure what you're going to do, and you harbor that, you don't share that, you don't open up, you don't communicate that, you sweep it under the rug, guess what? It's still going to be there. You're still going to get bit by it somehow. So, hey, the wall's in front of us. Let's face it together. Let's overcome it together. And I think that's key. That's key to success for any owner-operator, is to have a successful relationship with open dialogue between their dispatcher and themselves. I mean, that's the family tie bond right there.
And it's better to face the issue at hand proactively
Then reactivate.
Absolutely. And then that's going to, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to money. Yeah. It's going to boil down to the reloads, the available hour, the available time on the clock, and so forth. Yeah. And then it can actually mess up your entire week, wouldn't you say? I mean, you have some scenarios where that reload goes away, and
yeah, I mean, if you got a guy that's constantly not getting empty until 3, 4, 5 o'clock, his very next day it's going to be 3, 4, 5 o'clock. It's just a snowball effect. But, you know, Christian, we talked about staying tuned towards the end of the video, that we had something special for him. At the end of the day, a lot of this comes down to effectiveness and finances. So let's talk about your relationships with the shippers and receiver and how that can make you more money. I'm going to share with you one of the biggest problems that I run into when I'm running dispatch out there. Here it is. Detention. Okay? I believe that everybody that's held up deserves detention. I want you to get that detention. I'll fight for it. I'll do everything I can. But guys, you've got to understand, in this age with all the technology that we have, I know we have e-logs, I know we have GPS tracking, and I can prove that you're there. But I certainly can't prove that you weren't unloading or loading. That it doesn't show. You can put it on your logs, that's great. But when you go in to get those bills, you have to sign a copy of them. I tell them all the time, put your in and out times on there. I know some of these shippers and receivers can be rude. I know they can be difficult. And I know they don't want to put that on there because it is their goal not to pay detention sometimes. But a good dispatcher's goal is to get every penny he can for his driver, for his family. You know?
And that's right on the money. Yeah. But in order for you to fight for the individual and for you to do what's right,
you got to communicate. I need help.
And you also there's policies and procedures in everything we do, right? DOT has regulations on how we run and so forth. And some of these customers, receivers, getting paid. Where there are policies and procedures, there are requirements as far as the in and out time, sign.
Absolutely. And if I ask you to sign my put my in and times on the bills, and they don't, when you go to sign, go ahead and sign. Here's what happens so many times, Christian. I see it all the time. A driver gets his bills. I tell him, make sure you get your in and out times on your bills. He goes in, he signs his name. They pull it out. They give him his copy. He walks out to his truck. He sits down, and he puts in, I got in at 7 a.m. and I didn't get out until 12:30. He sends me a picture of it, a scan of it. I get it. I send it to the broker. The broker looks at it. He sends it over to his customer, and they say, well, that's fine. That sure's not on my bills. You know what I mean? And so then it becomes a problem. Now I'm chasing detention that may be difficult, that he earned. He earned that detention. And guys, it's about getting what you earn. It's about having that relationship. It's about reaching out and having that dialogue between you and your dispatcher and communicating with them. And when they tell you to write it on there, write it on there. Because even if the shipper scratches it out, when they send a copy to the broker, they'll see that area right there where it's scratched out. And they know that, hey, you know, we did what we did. So a good tip to help you capture revenue is get your in and out times on your bills always. Make it a habit, even if there's no detention involved, just simply because you never know what may come back. I had a guy who was late for a load. Nothing was said to us, and almost a month later, now they're trying to fine us for it. You know what I mean? And I'm going back, I'm pulling logs, and I'm like, whoa, he was there. But I have no in and out times to prove it.
And Mike, it's such an easier battle if you had the in and out times. Something Absolutely. That now is a week long task could have been a 15-minute task.
Oh yeah.
And so that's the importance. And I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And so with today's technology, we have so many tools right out instantaneous. And I mean, have a copy of the bills, and something else that's out there, a good thing to point out while you're back there, when possible, take a picture of the load. Yeah. Because what's going to happen is the same thing, just to try to avoid those claims, try to avoid damage. Yeah. That's another key.
We've had that save us, actually. It's a good point. And that'll be, we can use that as our closing point. We had a guy who literally took a picture of his load. They received the product. They send us a picture, and they say, look, there were containers. These containers are dented. And we actually said, well, hold on a second, because we had a picture at the shipper, and here you go. It was dented when they put it on the truck. We actually brought it to their attention, and they said, that's okay, don't worry about it. And the receiver was trying to file a claim against us. It protected the driver, it protected the company, and it protected the money that he earned. So
claims free, baby. That's what it's about.
That's how we roll. It's making you effective and get as much money on your truck as possible, because what you deserve, what you earn. We thank you for taking your time to watch the Super Trucker podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification so that you get notified of any future content. And if any suggestions, put them down in the comments. We'd love to talk to you, hear your comments, hear what you got to say, and keep it going.
And until next time, drive safe and keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking.